Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm Dr. Mohamed Gamal, lecturer of human anatomy and embryology. I will be with you in the lectures of the endocrine system. We'll talk about the endocrine glands. This is the first lecture. What is endocrine? Endocrine means ductless glands. Ductless gland means it will secrete a secretion which is a hormone directly into the blood. No ducts, no secretion to the exterior, to the external environment, but secretion inside the body, inside the blood, which is called hormone. This endocrine system is highly complicated. It has a hierarchy. Like top level management, the hypothalamus will give an order to the anterior pituitary, the master of the endocrine glands. The anterior pituitary will give an order to the endocrine gland to secrete its hormone. That is it? No. The process is not finished. The hormone that is produced by the endocrine gland is making what is called the negative feedback, saying to the hypothalamus and to the anterior pituitary, please stop. I'm released in a sufficient amount. Thank you. So this negative feedback makes the regulation of the hormones secretion. This is my first slide. It is not linked to the endocrine. It is linked to your whole life. If you are at the start of your year, at the start of the module, at the start of doing a project, at the start of doing a mission, you are here at the baseline. The baseline. This is difficult. I won't do it. You are saying to yourself, I cannot do it. The endocrine is much more complicated. This is much more lectures. But I cannot do it, yes, because it is difficult. The first step to succeed is I want to do it. You must have the intention. You must have the will. You must be convinced that you are able to and you want to do this mission, do your study, do your project. So this is the first step. But without a plan, you will not succeed. Before starting your studying, before starting your year, before you starting your module, you should put a plan. How do I do? A pre-planned timetable, a plan to study, a timetable to study. So, sometimes while you are processing, while you are going through your year, you have some failure. You failed in doing your target. So, I got depressed? No. The key for success is this sentence, I'll try to do it. Please try once more time. If you failed, if you didn't achieve your goal, please try once more time. Once more time means unlimited times. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, etc. Until you can do it. Yeah, I can do it. I did my mission. When I can do it, I will do it. And lastly, he is laughing. He is very happy to do his mission. Let's start our mission, which is the anatomy of the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is the master of the endocrine glands. It is present in the brain. So here we have the cranial cavity, the skull from inside. This is anterior cranial fossa, middle cranial fossa, posterior cranial fossa. Where it is, this bone is called body of sphenoid, like the red color, like the arrow. This is what is called pituitary fossa or hypophyseal fossa or sella turcica. Oh, what is hypophyseal? Pituitary in Latin means hypophysis. So the pituitary is hypophysis cerebri, and this is called hypophyseal or pituitary fossa or sella turcica. Anteriorly we have what's called tuberculum celli. Posterior we have what's called dorsum celli. So this is the anterior relation and posterior relation to our gland here. The gland here is not present like this. It is roofed. It is covered by a part of the dura mater, a folding called diaphragma celli. Diaphragma celli, yes. The connection, we see that our pituitary gland is linked to what is called hypothalamus. Hypothalamus for connection and regulation. Yeah, it is called hypothalamo-pituitary gland axis. To which part in hypothalamus? To part here, yes, this is what is called tuber cinereum. So what is tuber cinereum? A part of the hypothalamus. See here, hypophysis is the pituitary. This is the pituitary stalk. It is linked to the hypothalamus here. In which part? Tuber cinereum. So tuber cinereum is a part of the hypothalamus which is linked to our hypophysis cerebri or pituitary gland. Roofing. I said to you it is covered, it is surrounded by what's called diaphragma celli. Diaphragma celli is a dural fold covering it, but it has a hole. Why? This hole above in the roof for passage of what is called pituitary stalk for the connection to the hypothalamus. What about the relation? Yes. Let's see this cut section. Yeah, this is coronal section. We have, this is pituitary gland on both sides in this blue color. What is this? This is what's called cavernous sinus with its contents. What is the content? The internal carotid artery and abducent. Abducent nerve is the cranial nerve number 6. Let's see this cavernous sinus on both sides in blue color. Yeah. We have the word sinus. Do not forget. Number 1, sinus means a dilated vein. Cavernous sinus is a venous part, a venous system for drainage of the brain. Yeah. We have another sinuses? Yeah. Remember, we have more than one sinus, one definition, one meaning, one example. So on both sides we have the cavernous sinus. Let's see another one. Yeah, this is our pituitary gland, cavernous sinus in blue color, and internal carotid artery and abducent. Please write down the contents in your book: internal carotid artery and abducent nerve. Superiorly, oh, I told you it is totally surrounded by what's called diaphragma celli. So this diaphragma celli will separate it superiorly from what is called optic chiasm. Look, this is diaphragma celli and this is optic chiasm. What is optic chiasm? This is a part of the optic pathway which is linked to the optic nerve. What is the optic nerve? This is one cranial nerve is responsible for our vision. The inferior relations. This is also a coronal section. This is the pituitary gland. What is the inferior relation? Oh, this is blue color is our cavernous sinus on both sides. They are not alone. They are linked together by what's called in between the cavernous, intercavernous sinus. This is the pituitary gland. This is the intercavernous. The pituitary gland is sitting on the body of sphenoid, the pituitary fossa. Oh, under the sphenoid we have another type of sinus called sphenoidal air sinus. What is a sphenoidal air sinus? Sinus here means space in the skull bone containing air. Oh, so if we are back to our foundation module, we studied the type of bones. One of the types was pneumatic bone. Pneumo means air. Pneumatic bones, an example is the skull. So this is sphenoid air sinuses because this is a sphenoid bone, one of the bones forming the skull. Then we have the cavity of the nasopharynx. Again, the inferior relation are intercavernous sinus, then body of sphenoid, then sphenoidal air sinuses, then the cavity of the nasopharynx from upward downward. Posteriorly, we said that we have posteriorly a part of the body of sphenoid called dorsum celli. Let's be behind, more posterior, we have this is the brain stem. Which part of the brain stem? The pons. And in the center, in the midline, we have an artery here related to the bones. It's called basilar artery. So the posterior relation is dorsum celli, basilar artery, and pons. What about the anterior relation? Yeah, we are moving anteriorly. We have a part of the body of sphenoid called tuberculum celli. Yes, tuberculum celli. More anterior, we have also a air-filled spaces in the sphenoid bone called sphenoidal air sinus. More anteriorly, we have the cavity of the nose, nasal cavity. Oh, can I ask you a question? Yes. Can you tell me what structure I mentioned, both anterior relation and both inferior relation? Yes. Yes, excellent. Sphenoidal air sinus is anterior. Again, sphenoidal air sinus is inferior. I know that the face-to-face education is more effective than the online, but I'm trying to imagine you are in front of me, sitting here, and I'm talking to you. I'm teaching you. What about the blood supply of pituitary? You know, pituitary means hypophysis. Excellent. So the artery will be hypophyseal arteries. Yes. Arterial supply from superior hypophyseal and inferior hypophyseal. Coming from, do not forget, internal carotid artery. What about the veins? To the surrounding sinuses. Not definite one. To any surrounding sinuses. Venous sinus. We have two different type of sinuses. One is called venous structure, venous sinuses, cavernous sinus, and one is air sinus, air-filled space, sphenoidal air sinus. Excellent. Development. Pituitary gland in physiology is two loops. Anterior loop, which is adenohypophysis. Posterior loop, which is neurohypophysis. Adeno means gland. The anterior pituitary or the adenohypophysis can make hormones when secreted, but the posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis, it cannot form or make hormones. It is just a site of storage for the hormones formed in the hypothalamus, in supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei. Then they are stored in the posterior pituitary just for release. So different loops, different structure, also different embryological origin. One, the anterior pituitary is from different embryological origin, and the posterior pituitary, let's see. The adenohypophysis or the anterior pituitary coming from what's called buccal primordium or somatic ectoderm, roof of the mouth. What about the neurohypophysis? It is coming from cranial primordium or neuroectoderm. How? Like this. This is the anterior pituitary will come from the roof of the mouth, and this is the posterior pituitary will come from floor of the brain. Which part of the brain? Yes, floor of diencephalon or diencephalon. Why? Why diencephalon or diencephalon? Because diencephalon, this neuroectoderm, is the embryologic origin of the hypothalamus. And we have a connection between the posterior pituitary and the hypothalamus, because the hypothalamus will make the hormones for the posterior pituitary or the neurohypophysis. So the buccal primordium or roof of the mouth or somatic ectoderm will make a pouch. We'll see it in the photos. Yeah, it will make a pouch called Rathke's pouch. Rathke's pouch here. and the rascus is stroke. What about the floor of the encephalon? It will make also a pouch, and they will one ascend and one descend until they will make the adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. The adenohypophysis will be pars distalis and pars temporalis, while the neurohypophysis will be called pars nervosa. Let's see the congenital anomalies. But here, what can you see? I can see that the roof of the mouth will form a rascus pouch, a rascus stalk. And this is the floor of the encephalon, neuroectoderm, will form a pouch also. They will reach each other, fuse to make the pituitary gland. Oh, this rascus stalk or the connection to the mouth is lost, is degenerated. Why? Because the pituitary is linked to the hypothalamus, linked to the brain, hypothalamus, but not linked to the mouth. If it is linked to the mouth, it will be congenital anomaly we will talk about in few seconds. Let's see our congenital anomaly. Yes, they are reaching each other. Yes, anterior pituitary. What is this? This dotted line is the site of connection between the pituitary gland and the nasopharynx. It is called Carnipharyngeal canal. This is very dangerous. It can transmit infection from the nasopharynx to the brain and the pituitary gland. Carnipharyngeal canal due to persistence of what's called? Yes, what's called? Rascus stalk. What's called? Rascus stalk. It will persist here. It will persist. Carnipharyngeal. It will persist. It will persist. This is dotted line is the site of carnipharyngeal canal, and it is fatal condition because any infection in nasopharynx, and this is where we are exposed to multiple infections here in the nasopharynx, will be transmitted to our brain. The other one is pharyngeal hypophysis. Pharyngeal hypophysis because the pituitary gland here failed to ascend. This rascus pouch stalk didn't ascend to the pituitary gland. So this pharyngeal hypophysis can be removed during adenodectomy or any operation here for oropharynx. Accidentally will be removed. The last one is agenesis. No somatic ectoderm, no neuroectoderm, no anterior pituitary, no posterior pituitary. And here we have what's called the panhypopituitarism. Yeah. This is the last slide in our first lecture. And this is important for you. You are at the start of the module. We said that to succeed, you have to be confident of yourself. To succeed, you must first believe that we can. If you are confident of yourself, if you believe that you can, you will pass this module, you will pass this year, you will pass your medical years, you will pass your medical college and achieving your goal. You are here away from your country for the Malaysian, for the other nationalities here in Egypt. You are leaving your homes, you are leaving your families here to study. So you must be confident that you will do it. You must be confident that you have the will and you have the abilities and capabilities to do your mission. Study medicine, study your medical college, and then being back to your country, to your family, to help people, to teach people. You have two important messages to your communities. Number one, to teach them about the health education, the good habits, about the diseases, about the prevention, and another thing, to treat them, being the one who diagnose and treat different diseases. This will not be achieved if you you are not confident of yourself. Please be confident to yourself. Please put a plan. Please continue studying day by day. Please, from day 0, do not delay your studying, because the year is condensed and no time to waste. Thank you, my dear students.